Thanks for tuning in to Nightmare Creatures Podcast. I'm your host, James Strength. Boy, do we have a great show for you tonight. Our caller, Mickey Powell, has a frightening story he'd like to share. Mr. Powell, could you introduce yourself and share your encounter with us?
My name is Mickey Powell. I live in southern Alabama, and I had a very frightening encounter with you know what, I really can't tell you what in the world it was. I've had several people say different, beings or whatever. I don't know what it was. All I know is that it was, well, I thought I was going to die, pretty much, to break it down for you.
Wow. So it was that scary?
It was that scary.
That's amazing. So where did it actually take place?
Fulton, Alabama, Stanley Crossroads.
Okay.
That's where it happened.
All right, well, go ahead and get into the story and let us know what you were doing out there and how it all came to be.
Okay. Me and my friend, Sean Johnson, and if anybody knows him, he knows that he's a stand-up guy. If you would ask him the same thing about what happened, his word's going to be the exact same as me. Essentially, we were at his house, I believe, on a weekend night. This was 2005, I believe. We graduated high school in 2005. And we were there, I believe, on a Saturday night, either Friday night or Saturday night. And there was nothing to do, so we're just chilling around the house, sitting on the couch, and we're like, you know what? Let's just go pick some mushrooms, some psychedelic mushrooms. That'll be pretty good, because we've done that before plenty of times, and it's always been like an outstanding experience or whatever. I'm not like an advocate for just doing drugs, but back in the day, and especially in Fulton, Alabama, where there's nothing to do, psilocybin mushrooms was outstanding. Anyway, so we're heading up north down Upper Creek Road, and we go to Stanley Crossroads because that's our main spot where we always like to pick mushrooms. And we go to a new cow field that we have never been to before. We've always been to the one that's like right there at the crossroads. Well, we get to the crossroads, we take a left, and we go down probably like a quarter mile, and we take a dirt road to the right, and the actual cow field is probably like, I'd say like 200 feet off the road. You just got to go through like a couple of like bushes and trees, thickets. And anyway, we get there, we hop the fence, brand new cow field. There's cows everywhere. Looks great. There's cow patties everywhere, and the mushrooms grow on cow patties. So we have, or Sean has a trash bag over his shoulder, and he's picking up mushrooms, and I'm shining the light, shining them on the cow patties, trying to find them and everything. And we're finding some good ones. And anyway, we start like gravitating towards the left side of the cow field, and where we jumped over the fence to get in there, we were pretty close to the woods to the left, as it is. The majority of the cow field was to our right, and when we hop the fence, we're slowly gravitating towards the left, and we get to the mouth of the trees. There's like a little bitty trail, probably where cows like to just like wander into the woods or whatever. It's made like a natural born trail. Yeah. And I want to say that we are 100% sober.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to ask that question.
Yeah, of course, because we're going there to pick mushrooms and everything. We are 100% sober. I didn't even drink caffeine back then. That was right when I started working out like every day and drinking water and really becoming a health nut. And I was huge into that. I didn't really take acetaminophen, Tylenol, ibuprofen. I didn't take anything. So There was no caffeine. There was absolutely nothing. It was 100% sober, without a doubt. Well, and Sean was sober too. Unless he drank like a Coke or something for caffeine, technically he wouldn't be sober because it's caffeine. But that's it. As for me, I was 100% sober. And I always get that when I tell this story, like, oh yeah, you just didn't remember, you took mushrooms beforehand. Like, no, we never picked them and took them and ate them out in the cow field as it is. We were always very strict with what we did. When we grabbed them and took them back to the house, we would examine them to make sure they were the right kinds, because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. You might take the wrong ones. We were always very secure, and careful. We didn't want to really get messed up, like that. Anyway, so we're at the mouth of the woods, okay? And I'm wearing flip-flops on, so I always wear flip-flops. I got flip-flops and shorts. Sean's wearing shoes. We start walking off into the woods, and we've got some good flashlights with us. Not like police quality flashlights that can shine on anything. It's just like, if they're not dollar store flashlights either, they're good flashlights. And we're about 45 seconds into the trail, not walking fast because we're looking at the ground and walking slow, and we hear it sounds like a rock hitting a tree. Not like a little bitty pebble, but not like a big, handful, baseball-sized rock. It sounds like a medium-sized rock hitting a tree. And there's noises in the woods all the time. Anybody that's been camping knows that, you don't know what in the world you hear out there. It's just crazy nonsense, and you just don't pay any attention to it. But for some reason, we both noticed it, and we stopped. We weren't scared. We were just like, what was that noise? And it was to the right. But it was nothing. Not scared, just red noise. Oh well, whatever. About 15 seconds, we're walked about 4 or 5 steps forward. Another rock lands somewhere in the woods to our right, and it hits a tree. Same thing. That was another rock. I guess it was like a rock hitting a tree. 15 seconds, 20 seconds pass. Another noise. Rock hits a tree. Again. And it's significant enough that, we can pick out this noise out of all the noises going on in the woods. This is about 10 o'clock at night, so there's not really much going on. There's no birds chirping, all the cows are back in the cow field. We didn't see any cows whatsoever, around the forest. There's nothing really, there's no, I don't really know any kind of animals that make noises at night, but there's no, grasshoppers or anything like that. In terms of being quiet, it was really quiet. We could definitely hear that rock supposedly hit the tree. We walk again, 20 seconds, 25 seconds, something like that. Rock hits a tree again. This is 4 times now. And about the 4th time, I was like, maybe somebody is back here camping and trying to mess with us, or just, trying to, get us to go away. I don't know. I have no idea. For all I know, maybe there's people that's picked mushrooms already earlier that night, and they're we're right near them somewhere, and they're already hallucinating, taking the drugs, and they're just trying to get us to go away. I don't know. I have no idea. All we know is that we did hear 4 rocks hit 4 trees, and the 4th one is when we finally stopped. What is making that noise? What is that?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, and I mean absolutely nowhere, there's a black cow in the middle of the path, and the path is about, say, the tree to my left, the nearest tree to my left, and the nearest tree to my right is probably about 10 feet, so it's very narrow. The cow's just chilling there. It's not looking toward us. It's not looking away from us. It's parallel, diagonal or whatever. And it's just sitting there. And it's looking at us. And every time when we would go to Stanley Crossroads to pick mushrooms, we never came near the cows because I don't know anything about cows. I didn't want to go to a bull cow, if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a bull cow or if a bull cow exists, but I don't want to mess with with any cows. Those are big things. We don't know in the world. One of them might have horns or anything, but we didn't see any horns on this one or anything like that. It was just a pure black cow or whatever, and it was looking at us. We're like, you know what? We don't want to mess with it. Let's just back up. We got enough. We got plenty of mushrooms, and we got enough forever. You know, we can put them in the freezer and whatever and freeze them, and we got plenty. Let's just get out of here, Sean. So we're discussing that out of nowhere. And what's crazy is that when I tell this story, the part I'm about to say, most people say that isn't the scariest part for them when they're listening to me tell this story. But for me, this part that I'm about to say right now is without a doubt the scariest part in the story. And it is one of the scariest moments of my life because I was so confused and so scared on what the hell is happening. We are standing there looking at this cow backing up out of nowhere. And I swear on everything, 100%, on everything I believe in, on everything that I hold true, my family, my mother, this story is 100% true. Every single bit of it is word for word true. It sounds like a monster truck is to my right in the woods about 60, 70 feet, just running over trees. I'm talking just crack, 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 but a lot faster. We didn't know what it was. I had no earthly idea what in the world was happening. It literally sounded like a monster truck was going through the forest and knocking down trees. I don't know what in the world was making that noise. I have no idea, but I know me and Sean froze stiff and solid. We didn't say anything. We just stood there and shined our light towards whatever in the world was making that noise. We start panicking like crazy. We're thinking, I mean, like, maybe I'm like, oh, okay, is the DEA out here with the SUV monster truck type of thing trying to bust us? But what is going on out here? We can't see anything, but we just hear it, and it's so scary that like my heart rate is instantly, I mean, just jacked. You cannot get any faster. Then out of nowhere, it dies down just within, bam, like that. The trees actually snapping probably last for about 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and that's a long time for whatever in the world's happening out there, right? It wasn't just like, bam, 1 second you just heard something, oh, you know, just maybe, I don't know, a tree fell down and it knocked down a couple of other trees. No. It was about 6 or 7 seconds. Trees were just snapping in half. I don't know what it was. To this day, I don't know what it was. But we shine our light closer to the right to the two trees that are nearest to our right. And they're pretty thick trees. They're the closest ones to our right. The noise has died down for about 2 seconds, 2.5, 3 seconds. And then out of nowhere, we hear like a gigantic wingspan. Just that's what we hear. Like something, not like an owl, because an owl's a big bird. You can hear the wingspan on an owl, or like you can't really hear it on an eagle, but an owl you can hear, and that's like the biggest bird we have down here. It was not an owl. It was huge. Whatever it was had a wingspan. I mean, I don't know what makes a wingspan where you can hear it in the air to your right, probably about 15, 20 feet to your right up in the air. But it was big. And it was so big, when we shined our light to the right at the two trees that was making this wingspan sound, the trees were bent over. I'd probably say, okay, the tree is standing 90 degrees to upright. The other tree is standing at 90 degrees upright. I'd say both trees are probably bent over. Let's see, 45 is halfway. I'd probably say about 35, 40 degrees. I mean, and these probably, I don't really know like circumference wise or whatever, but I'd just say like normal trees. Not gigantic oak trees, but these are just like normal trees, pines, pine wood trees, what we have down here. It bent those two trees over about 35 degrees. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't see anything. I didn't see an outline or anything. Our flashlights isn't, crazy high powered. But when we shined up to it, we didn't see anything, just blackness, because it must have been like way up in the trees. But those trees just bent over 35 degrees. And that was it for me and Sean. I mean, that was all we could took. That was it. I was done. I was absolutely done. I just start running. I drop my flashlight. Flip-flop falls off. I don't care. I mean, I'm stubbing my toe on probably like tree roots growing out of the path. I'm out. Sean took off. He's gone too. He's got shoes on, so he's way faster. And at this point, like, of course, this is where I die. I knew I was gonna die some stupid death in this life. I knew it. Local Flomaton man dies by a monster in the woods. I can see the news lines right now. I just know it's gonna happen. Of course, I'm gonna be the slowest one because I got these stupid flip flops on. Whatever it is, it's gonna kill me. It's gonna eat me. I'm done. But we make it out. We make it out of the woods. We're running across the cow field. We hop the fence like a Olympic, hurdler, and we get back in the car and we're out of there. We don't really say anything until like our heart rates calm down and we can actually comprehend what in the hell just happened to us. So we're about halfway down Upper Creek Road from Stanley Crossroads, so we're finally like talking, and talking fluently, and we're trying to figure out what in the world's going on. And me and him are saying about the same thing. It was just a monster. I mean, it was just a monster, just a flying winged monster. I'm more worried about whatever the world that sound was in the trees. That's what scared me the most. He was worried about whatever in the world, because he was actually a little bit closer. He was on the right side of the path. He was more worried about the winged monster that was, bending over the trees. He was saying, did you see the trees bend over? I was like, yeah, I did see the bent over trees. We were saying, like, did you hear the wingspan? Yes, I heard the wingspan. We were trying to figure out what the world made that noise out in the woods. We didn't know. We had no idea whatsoever. We get back into Flomaton. We go to Subway because we're hungry. And Brady Curran pulls up from high school. He was a grade ahead of us. He pulls up with Emmanuel Bethea. And we're talking to them about what just happened, and we're telling them the entire story. And they're freaking out, like, oh, that's insane, that's insane. But of course they're like, yeah, y'all took mushrooms, right before, mushrooms do that. Like, no. We're 100% sober. We're absolutely 100% sober. I have not took anything. I don't even take, Tylenol. I mean, this is true. This is true. What happened? This is 100% true. Well. We get back into at Sean's house, and we're telling Shane, his twin brother, and we're saying the entire thing on everything on what happened. And people are gathered around asking us about it because there's like a little get together going, and we're telling the whole thing. And word gets around town, the high school. Next day, Monday at school, people were asking me about it. Tell us the monster story. Tell us the monster story. And I tell it, and everybody knows about it. It gets so much to where, like, this was when I was 18. It gets so much to, like, from 18 to 21, where I'm just going to, like, random parties out through Escambia County. I mean, I'll be in Jay or Atmore or, like, Bay Minette. And I'll just meet people, new people at a party or whatever. Like, hey, my name's Mickey Powell. You're the guy with the monster story. Yeah, that's me. I'm the guy with the monster story. Yep. Partying Bruton, East Bruton. I'm introducing myself, Mickey Powell. Oh, you saw a monster or something, right? Is that right? Yeah. I'm the guy with the monster story. That's right. Becomes famous around Escambia County. Everybody, in the age of like around 30 to 35 right now knows about that story. It's just crazy. Sean's brother Shane had a good idea on what was happening while we were walking into the woods with the rocks hitting the tree.
Okay.
Shane suggested that whatever that was that made that wingspan was trying to scare us to get out of there, to leave, by throwing rocks and hitting trees right beside us, because it was right beside us. And I was like, well, why would they What? Because it just wants to be left alone. Okay, man, I understand that. He's like, no. He's throwing rocks to hit the trees because he singled out this cow from the herd, and it's about to eat it and feast on it. And my mind's like, oh snap, mind blown. Wow, that's true. I mean, that could definitely be true. It singled out this cow, and it's going to eat it out here in these woods. And all of a sudden, two little mushroom hunters are, frolicking through the woods with little flashlights. La 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 la. Oh, what are these two things doing? They're gonna ruin my kill. And he starts trying to scare us by throwing rocks and hitting a tree. And that's essentially the entire story. I mean, that's 100% true. That's what happened. To this day, it's not the scariest event that's ever happened to me because I got in a truck wreck that really messed up my life, and waking up in the hospital was the most scariest. But that is the second most scariest moment I have ever had in my life. And I really did think I was going to die. It was absolutely terrible. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I thought, like, yeah, this is it. This is how I go.
That is a fascinating story. It really is. I'm completely blown away. I'm speechless. It's a really good theory as to why it was throwing the rocks out there. It makes a lot of sense with that big black cow out in the middle of nowhere like that. What do you think you would have done if it had attacked you?
Run in the complete opposite way. I would have probably just ran. I would have just absolutely ran. I mean, I don't know what could have been that thing. I have no idea. But some people suggested it was like a Jersey Devil, and I think I Googled it or whatever, or Yahoo'd it back in because Google wasn't around, and it kind of sounds like it because it's got wings or whatever. One of my friends think it was just like a Sasquatch encounter, or if what it's called down here is a skunk ape. They call it down here in Florida and in the swamps, they call it a skunk ape. But I mean, I'm pretty sure a Sasquatch doesn't have a wingspan, because it wasn't like it was pushing the trees apart. No, we heard the wingspan. We heard it. I mean, 100%. We knew what was going on. This wasn't all up in our head. We were 100% sober. We heard the wingspan. It wasn't like something pushing the trees apart. We heard the like that, about that fast apart through each little, flap of its wings.
Man. Well, Mickey, I really appreciate your story. That's absolutely fantastic. And I'm glad that you made it out there safe, and you didn't die.
Yeah, I am too, for real. That was pretty terrifying.
Real quick, before we wrap this up, do you know of anyone else around your local area that's had any kind of encounter similar to your story?
Yes, I do actually. One of my friends, former police officer, had some, I guess, really lifespan tell of stories in terms of being out in the woods. He's a huge wood advocate. I mean, always camping, fishing, hunting, stuff like that. I mean, he loves that stuff, and he's got some stories he could definitely share. I've heard most of them. I wouldn't. I mean, not to brag whatsoever, I would not put it on par with the monster story, because it's just, the monster story is just, I mean, what in the hell was that, But he has some stories that are just creepy and eerie, and, that just gives you chills up and down your spine, that just makes you be like, God, there's something out there in the woods. There's got to be,
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to have him on. If he could give us some stories of your local area, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'll let him know. I'll get in contact with him, tell him to get in contact with you.
All right, buddy. Well, I really appreciate it, Mr. Powell. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
All right, have a great night.
You too.
Thanks for stopping by Nightmare Creatures Podcast. Stay safe out there, everybody. And remember, there's no such things as fairy tales.